Hey, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome out to the Arlington Improv. Consider it the video channel. Today I got some special guests with us, like always. Today we have a wonderful comedian. She's been doing comedy for quite a while now, and she's joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, first welcome Katie Evans. Hey, Katie.
Hi, Sean.
And of course with us is we have another wonderful comedian, nationally touring comic. Ladies and gentlemen, say hi to Jason James. Our studio audience, once again, is always just a blessing for all of us. They just cheer us all on. They love us. So, hey, guys. So the big topic that we're kind of talking on is politically correctness. You know, this weekend has been a big discussion about the Dear Fat People and I don't even want to say her name. That chick, she already got like 16 million views. She doesn't get any more recognition from our side. But you know, she made this video. She's just talking a lot of junk, and I guess it kind of brought up a topic, and then we want to discuss, and that's politically correctness. You know, is what she did wrong? You know, is it far? Is it too far? You know, the rebuttal by Halpin, not to mention all sorts of news articles and things. So without further ado, I guess we'll throw it over to Katie. Katie, what's your opinion? I imagine you saw the video because you're probably here supposed to. But what did you think? Did she go too far? Was it wrong?
Well, it wasn't. It's wrong that she calls herself a comedian, I feel like. I don't think it was funny in any way. I think it was painful to watch just because, you know, she didn't approach it in a way that was meaningful or in a way that moved the discussion forward. She didn't come from a place of caring. There was nothing personal about it. The only personal thing she brought to the table was like this personal vendetta with some fat family that she had to give her place in line at the airport to. And yeah, right. I think the whole story, I mean, the whole thing was just, you know, not funny and just hurtful and mean. There wasn't anything interesting about it. Just someone ranting, it seemed like.
Yeah, with some average jokes. I mean, I didn't hear a single original joke in that whole thing. You know, I think Halpin kind of destroyed her. I don't know. You know, Jason, obviously you saw it. You know, I'm not too. You know, we tried to get Halpin for this video to hop in and give us his 2 cents, and we'll just probably have a rebuttal later. But Jason, what did you think? Do you think that you know, do you think Sean was on point with his, you know, his response, or do you think he went too far, or do you think it even deserved him to respond to such a stupid video?
I think it was great that he had a response and it was so well done. I think the important thing to point out to all the kids at home watching is that comedy's hard, man. Like, if you want to tackle a topic like that, you better have the authority to do it. You better know what you're doing. I mean, the other extreme of it is the overly sensitive, politically, the fear of politically incorrect comments and ideas. Like, we have to be able to talk about anything, but if you're going to do it and put it out there, be prepared for blowback.
Yeah.
You can say some of the most horrible things in the world, but if the audience realizes that you're coming from a place of love and you're punching down, or you're not punching down, you're punching up, and the people that are perceived as less fortunate are winning, there's humor to be found in the most terrible of things. And you need that. You need to talk about things like cancer, and you need to talk about things that hurt and disabilities, and you know, but you have to do it from a perspective and in a way that it's not coming from what it seemed like from this lady that we refuse to acknowledge, like yeah. Baltimore, that you know what you're doing, and she really did, obviously.
Yeah, you know, I know that Seinfeld was just talking about politically correctness and how it's kind of ruining his love and passion for comedy in a lot of ways. Like, one of the things he said, like, people tell him just don't go to colleges, don't do college campuses, because they're just so PC that you're going to be hit as a bigot, a racist, you know, an ableist, you know, who knows what are you going to be tagged with, all because you said something that you were trying to just be funny, you know, and it might have came from somewhere real special and real deep in your heart, and you actually have your own, you know, feelings and emotions, and, you know, as comedians, you guys write down these jokes that, you know, things hurt you, and you write it down to kind of get through it. It's almost somewhat of a therapy for a lot of comedians. I know, Katie, you had mentioned that you had a weight problem. Can you do any jokes about fat people, or do they even believe that is it like me getting up there and trying to do black jokes? I mean, what's your reaction to that?
Well, for me, I think the most important thing, if you're gonna hit a subgroup of people, turn it inward first. Like look inward first. For me, I used to be not obese, but I was overweight for a long time, and I got healthier, because I wanted to be healthier, not because someone shamed me into losing weight. Right. But I think as far as writing jokes about it, I would love to talk about it, but there is a fear of alienating a section of your audience, because when I get up there, no one knows that I had to work out for 2 years and that I work out every day and eat healthy consistently to maintain it. Nobody knows that I struggled to get to where I am today. But if I can go up there and talk about that and be self-deprecating and relate to people who understand that type of struggle, I think there is potential for it to be funny. But that's what's frustrating about political correctness, is you want to be able to get up there and talk about the things that make people uncomfortable, but there is a fear of alienating certain members of the audience. But maybe comedy isn't for everybody. I don't know.
No, I think and unfortunately you're right. It's like there's always some type of comedian or something that for everybody's what we try to say. I mean, heck, you got Christian comedy night where it's like clean comedy. You have you have the absolute filthiest, dirty, dark blue comedy comedians that come through too. And if you're in the wrong show, like I remember one time some friends had gone out and seen Paul Mooney, and if you haven't seen Paul Mooney, I mean, if you don't know what his style of comedy is, and you're a group of white people walking into that show, I mean, they left pretty quickly, and they were upset, like, he's a racist and yada yada yada, and it's like you almost have to kind of know who the heck you're about to see or what you're about to watch, because it can be offensive to pretty much anybody if you're sensitive, and maybe they're not ready to talk about it. I mean, I wonder how long it was until the big boy comedians started talking about September 11th after that thing happened. I mean, what was that kind of timing? I mean, heck, you got these kids nowadays, going to school and getting kicked out. Like Jason, had mentioned something about some kid getting suspended from school for a lunchbox. What is this PC stuff doing, and what is it going to do to the next generation? Jason?
It's dumbing it down. It's making it a lot less capable of challenging their own fears and thoughts and ideas. Trigger warnings on classic literature because it may contain the N-word. Does that mean that no one's going to read The Adventures of Huck Finn? I mean, I understand if you're the victim of sexual assault, you don't want to be called into a class or something like that where you don't know, you weren't given the ability. But there was an incident recently of a girl in a law school rape class who felt offended by it. Like you're studying the topic was rape and the law, and so you can't be surprised when you're in that class that you're going to be talking about that stuff. I mean, and so like there's such extreme responses that the points are getting lost.
Yeah, it's almost to the point of denial. I mean, at what point is it beneficial to remove this materials and to have these trigger warnings? Because you're just opening yourself up to a certain type of denial of reality. You've got you were talking earlier about that girl who got asked to leave school. How old was she with the lunchbox? She had Wonder Woman on a lunchbox, and that was an image of violence.
Right. And you can't say Wonder Woman displays violence. I mean, she's like one step above Aquaman, and he did nothing. But as far as like
lasso and accessories that
probably carried some people into battle, with her imaginary or invisible airplane. But I mean, I think you kind of nail it. Is you can't say that a kid with a lunchbox with Wonder Woman is not deemed worthy. I mean, first and foremost is the truth is it's a cartoon. It's not real. Okay, so I mean, if you are going to get mad about something, so what you like? no police officer uniforms, can't go, dressed up as a police officer, or or you can't wear a GI Joe. I mean, even that's a cartoon. I mean, but that
Halloween is going to be a nightmare at that school.
yeah,
They're going to be dressed in what, like a Tooth Fairy costume? I don't know.
they're all going to dress like their teachers. I mean, and is that the only people that aren't violent in that place? I guess.
Not if the teachers have guns.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing.
Carrying guns.
Texas, they're packing. These teachers are packing it in Texas now. I just saw that signage pop up. Personally, I think I don't think that us trying to be PC is going to fix people's emotional issues and the problems they're having. I think the politically correct element. I understand you don't need to be an asshole. Okay, like don't be a jerk. Don't say something that's inappropriate or not your place to say it. But if you're just gonna get mad, I mean, Jason, have you ever had an issue with a crowd or an audience? Ever just not liking your material and hating you and trying to beat you up or anything?
Yeah, I've got a bit that on my set list. It's "Kids Are Fat." That's the title of the bit. I've had the police called on me after a show. This last Valentine's Day, I was in Bismarck, North Dakota, doing a theater, and I had to kick 2 couples out. 3 of the 4 people, the 2 ladies and one of the husbands, were just trashy. One of the husbands, and it was amazing because I tried to handle it as judiciously as possible. But they were clearly too drunk to control, not realizing what they were doing and disrupting the show. And so when I finally kicked them out, to hear the rest of the 500-seat theater kick out into "Na na na na, hey hey hey, goodbye." And so they got kicked out, but they went down the street, kept drinking, continued to lose control, called the police because I did a joke about Marley Matlin being the spokesperson for T-Mobile. So they said that I was making fun of blind and deaf people, and the cop told them without missing a beat, I guess it's a good thing they weren't here to see or hear it then.
I'd like to point out that Sean Trainer is currently dressed as a half-blind pirate with a birthday cake.
I thought this topic was getting a little bit too sensitive. I felt like we were getting it's got to break up the
violent outfit.
Yeah, we need a little more funny in this room. I don't know what else I can do other than keep talking and wear different costumes.
Comics, that's offensive.
Oh, that's even better. I like that.
Or clowns are going to be offensive. You get comedy's tough. There's nothing wrong with people disagreeing or have different opinions. There's nothing wrong with it.
And going back to the original premise of the video, I mean, dear fat people. I mean, the chick, she lost her YouTube account and her Google Plus account because of some terms and conditions she broke, and everybody's saying she's fat shaming. And I'm not saying she's not fat shaming because she clearly is being an asshole and trying to poke fun. Her ending message, I think her ending message was good. I mean, her point was at the end, and even Halpin acknowledged it, is, quit doing this. We want you to stick around longer. And that's respectable. Jason, your brother, he was kind of battling with that. I mean, everybody kind of puts on the weight. Katie and myself. It is a battle. And we could definitely make better decisions, and the repercussions from this stuff is going to happen. But at what point are we going to be, told we're not allowed to even have a comedy club anymore because too many people get offended, or the audiences just don't show up and don't support it because, we're just, the new generation of kids are so worried about their friends at the table getting offended that they don't want to go, or that they're so sensitive and they've been given trophies for 3rd or 4th place for their entire life, and now they're sitting there going, oh, I can't enjoy making fun of something that's serious. I mean, if you had someone that had cancer and you write a joke about cancer, and it offends somebody, it's not there to offend them necessarily, but if they got offended, it's, I guess, all to their own. I'm just worried PC is going to make comedy absolute, and not going to be around, or it's going to modify into such a hacky Jeff Foxworthy style of comedy, and that's it. That's all we're going to have, because we're just so worried. I don't know. I know that the Bill Hicks of the world and stuff push the envelope, and I hope people continue to push it. You know, like Geraldo or Patrice or any of the ones that are the rockers and the rollers of stand-up. But for the new generation, I don't know what to expect. I'm really kind of interested to watch.
I think that goes back to what Jason was saying. Like, comedy is hard, and it changes and it evolves, and it may be that we have to figure out how to do it. It may be that we're stuck with these kids, and maybe, I'm not that old. Maybe I'm one of them. I don't know. We have to figure out how to deal with these kids who are hypersensitive, who have been protected and sheltered, who are so, you get up there, you tell a joke, and if it has to do with being a certain race, what's the first thing people do? They look around. Is there anyone of that race at my table? Is it okay to laugh?
Right.
And maybe we have to figure out how to deal with that as comics, because how much is the general public going to change? How much is this new generation going to change?
Right.
You have to evolve to that.
I have to wholeheartedly agree. The kids that were brought up in a bubble and are incapable of dealing with adversity or terrifying topics or humor or being able to understand that are underdeveloped as human beings. You've got to be able to take things with a grain of salt, sticks and stones. There's certainly a need to remember that comedy punches up. It doesn't punch down.
Right.
But Bill Burr recently came out and said the problem that he has is that everybody comes out and only defends their group.
Yeah.
And it's become so compartmentalized that we can't cater comedy to lower expectations or limiting it. I honestly believe our job is to remember some of those basic rules, but honesty has to be in there somewhere, and being fearless and being able to talk about some of those things. I'm not interested in figuring out what you want to hear. I don't, because like you said before, this is a cathartic process for me as well to deal with my insecurities and my fears and my problems and stuff like that, and it's a very self-indulgent craft, but I'm also looking at bigger picture things that if I tried to come up with a set that is going to be safe for everybody, I'm done.
Yeah.
I want no part of this business, this career. That would make me incredibly sad.
Well, I think not just sad, but I think it would be borderline impossible to write funnier and funnier bits if it doesn't come from your heart and it's not from that dark spot. I think that it requires somebody to talk about things that is painful to come out with funny stuff. I mean, the funniest jokes in the business are definitely from very dark moments from individual comedians. I could think of 100 different comedians that have amazing jokes, and I guarantee most of those jokes came with real tears, from themselves or people around them, and now they're just being shut down, or they can't say this, or someone's feelings got hurt. Well, I'll tell you who got feelings hurt about 6 months ago when that joke got written. There were some feelings hurt, but now we can talk about it and grow. As long as you're not stupid, you're not just doing something to be an asshole. Again.
I really feel lucky that I started out and had some incredibly talented people that really cared about the craft and cared about the individuals involved in it. From Eddie Brill, who reposted and shared Sean's response to it. Dean Lewis, guys that really, first of all, being a decent human being to start with,
right.
But having mentors and people that had Eddie, one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got was from him. He goes, "You can be as angry as you want. Just smile. Let the audience know that you're not mad at blaming them.
Right.
Yeah.
Let them know that you're having fun, and this is a release for you, because these are things none of us should have to put up with, or that we're all guilty of on some level, or whatever." Like the frustrated optimist that I genuinely deep down feel like I am, but you can't limit topics. It's just finding a way in which to do it that it's
right.
Okay.
I don't really know who is a comedian or a comic that actually gets up there and doesn't talk about something that is from the heart, and they're actually funny. I mean,
I was going to say, going back to the fat people shaming video, that's the problem with that. There's nothing personal about it. And granted, we don't know It's entirely possible that she was a fat kid and she grew up and she got healthier, or we don't know that. But she doesn't talk about it in her video.
Right.
There's nothing, there's no dark place, there's nothing, there's no struggle, there's no personal triumph, there's nothing relatable.
She did struggle. Remember when she was saying she had to hold that fat kid up for the whole airplane?
Oh, the struggle.
She didn't have to. I mean, that was a lot of struggling. 3-4 hour flight with a giant fat kid next to you.
How hard for her. What a challenge for her.
that poor lady. Hey guys, thanks for coming out, talking politically correctness. If you want to comment or put something below, and we can do a rebuttal on this and kind of bring it back up and dive deeper in with other comedians and get their 2 cents. Would love to hear from you. Katie, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you coming out once again. Yay! And the wonderful act of Jason. Jason, thanks for coming out.
But I wanted to let people know that I'll be at the Improv in Addison, the 10th through the 13th with Eric Griffin is incredible. I would love to talk to people after the show. Like, come on out and see if what I'm doing is politically incorrect or if I'm pushing the envelope too far, which I hope I am.
Well, I'll put a link below so that they can go right to the calendar and see the show. And come out, make sure you just support live comedy. I think that's important. Hey, Jason, thanks for coming out, man.
Thanks, Katie.